There are a few things that can affect the energy in the room, like a shift supervisor at an emergency communications center. In a business that is built on crises and split second decisions, the person running the shift of call takers and dispatchers can add or subtract from that tension, that chaos, and that confusion based on their decisions, but even more so based on their temperament. Today, we'll talk about how to control the weather. This is Lifeline. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Lifeline 911 with your host, Erica.
Hello.
I'm your co host, Gary, and today I guess we're discussing meteorological events, controlling the weather, that kind of thing. Should I put up a picture of storm clouds behind me?
And the
Yeah.
northeasterly off of the, I don't know, Pacific, Potomac, the thing and the humidity and all the thing. But you know what? I, that's not too far off from what happens when you have a supervisor that doesn't understand their impact on the atmosphere in a comm center.
hmm Yeah, I mean, it's often kind of said that a supervisor's mood, whether positive or negative, can will impact the whole shift.
Hmm.
And I think that's very true. And how people respond to a lot of things, whether it be angry callers
Hmm.
or distressing calls for service, things that happen out in the field to the first responders, and having that knowledge that you, as a shift supervisor, do have such an impact on people.
Hmm.
You're invested with that responsibility to help shepherd them through the shift, no matter
Yeah,
how chaotic it gets.
it's true. And I mean, I think anybody listening, watching, you and I included, have encountered shift supervisors, managers, whatever the rank or position may be, but people in leadership. We've all encountered those people where when they walk in, depending on their mood, everybody knows. Put your head down, try not to be noticed, try not to get in their
hmm
crosshairs, try not to have them have to come talk to you about anything. And it shouldn't be that way. It should be that if you're going through something, as best as you can, leave it at the door when you come in because these people don't deserve to be subjected to whatever it is you got going on.
Right. And uh, part of that is being cognizant of where you're at emotionally,
Mhm.
because a lot of times you'll it's hard sometimes to separate yourself from the events out like in your personal life, whether you're having a good day or a bad day.
Mhm.
But I think you owe it to your shift to try and be as even keel as possible. And like I know I'm guilty sometimes of having some frustrations. Um and but I do try and to not hide them so much, but to not let them affect how I act during my shift. And
Yes.
that can sometimes be difficult to do. If you've got like a small kid, maybe they kept you up all night because they were sick, and then you've got to go into work and you're a little bit more aggravated and tired. Really try and give a little bit more patience. If you, I don't know, maybe if something good happened to you, that'd be okay to let that leak in a
I
little
was
bit
gonna
more. But
say, yeah, please give me that. Give me happy. I'm excited. Something really wonderful happened. But I mean, of course, with all things balanced, right? You don't go in there dancing down the aisles left and right like a crazy person that no one can take seriously. But I think anybody that's either watching or listening would agree, give me that one.
Mhm.
Give me that one all day long versus someone who for whatever reason, and don't get me wrong, it might be completely legitimate. the reason that you're frustrated or that you're just going through it today. But you have to ask yourself, does my team benefit from me walking in this way or that way? Or, balanced? And I have to give you your flowers, Gary, because I think I even said this before we started of just about, there might be a couple more, but for the most part, poor, y'all know what? I have to stop for a second. Poor Gary, he's surrounded by women. It's nothing but women as supervisors at our center, and he is the only male. How he's not completely crazy, I don't know, but he manages. But back to your flowers. You manage to be the same guy every day. If you are off, it's by such a little amount that most people will not be able to tell unless of course they spend enough time with you where they can pick up on it. But I've never
Mhm.
seen your Dr. Jekyll to your Mr. Hyde. I've never seen it. And that's a lot of years. And at one point you were my supervisor and not my peer. So well done.
Well, thank you, thank you. Like for me personally, I know that I have a very short temper that burns very, very hot.
Where?
Um, I so I have to. I'm very cognizant of that, which I
Huh.
think is why I'm able to kind of avoid uh, letting that get out of hand. If I wasn't aware of that, I think that would make me not as a much worse person. We'll say that. But being aware of that, I really try and mm, uh, refrain from getting upset and try to be, as even keel. Because one of the things that people always talk that they want in any place that they work is what? Consistency.
Yeah.
And so if you can try and be as consistent as possible, not only in your policies, your procedures, and how you implement those, but in how you interact with people,
Yeah.
um, it, I think, helps them feel safer to do the job
Sure.
in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And like there have been a lot of times where uh, maybe somebody was acting silly, we'll say. And, if I didn't have my supervisor hat on, I might act silly with them. But I've got to, be like, it's not time for singing and dancing or whatever the
Sure.
silliness is.
Yeah. Yeah. Or
uh,
or becoming, visually and verbally angry, frustrated, really letting those negative emotions show. It's it really is a lot like controlling the weather in the room. We have so much more influence than I think a lot of us in leadership truly understand. And I've been around some of the best in the business, and the best of the best don't let their outside influence how they walk through the door and how they conduct themselves. Your team needs that even keeled, consistent person. And the work that we do, not that it's more important than other work, because there is other life-saving work going on in different disciplines, but for ours, because that's the one we're talking about, they need that in order to be able to look straight ahead and focus on what the job is in front of them. And they should not have to worry about what your mood is today and whatever it is you got going on.
mhm. And that kind of, I think, relates to the idea that Simon Sinek put out a number of years ago in terms of um, the trust. So he would say like an organization is like um, built of people, and if they're scared or don't feel confident, then they're afraid the danger is going to come from the inside, so they turn inward
Hmm.
to kind of protect themselves from that, and then the external dangers will come in and topple the organization.
Yeah.
But if your team has trust, they know that they can handle those external pressures because they don't even have to worry about anything on the inside, especially if your team knows you support them.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's not saying you're always a cheerleader, because
No.
sometimes you do have to have difficult conversations with people.
Yeah.
But if you do that in a way that's respectful, consistent, and sets a clear expectation for what you expect of your employees and hold yourself to that same standard, of
Mhm.
course, or higher, then they'll feel confident to know, like, okay, I know where the line is. I know what I need to do. And if I cross the line, old man Elmore's going to come down and like a ton of bricks on me.
Old man Elmore, I love that. But you're 100% correct. I know in my early years of supervision, even from the entry level, I thought being the boss was just that, being the boss.
Hmm.
Right? I'm responsible for all the things that could possibly go wrong, and so I have to micromanage. And while we're not necessarily talking about micromanaging as a management style, but you that's part of it. When you don't know who you are as a leader or what a leader really is, you will allow your different aspects of your personality to seep through, even the ones that nobody wants to see, because you're not aware of just how much you impact the product that your shift is supposed to put out. And that safety that your charges should feel is not there when they don't know what they're going to get every time you walk through the door. I was telling you about this post that I saw on my LinkedIn, and that's where we kind of got that, controlling the weather, because it's literally about creating an environment where people can feel safe to do the very best work they can. And if they have to worry about whether you're Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde is going to walk through the door today, they can't possibly do that.
Hmm. Yeah. And more so than that, when they make a mistake, and everybody will make a mistake because we're human,
Yep.
if they don't trust in you being consistent, they might not tell you that mistake or try to hide that mistake, in which case
Yes.
that's always the worst result possible,
Yes.
because
Yes.
then, you got things being swept under the rug, covered up, they become bigger and bigger
Oh,
mistakes.
yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And
And
your team
yeah,
should trust you that even if they flub it, and I mean bad, yes, there will be an uncomfortable conversation that has to happen with Erica. But that uncomfortable conversation will be because I have to now, put on my disciplinarian hat, for lack of a better way to put it. And it's not something I should pull out all the time. But I'm also not going to pull out that hat, put it on, and then grab my billy club and commence to beat the crap out of you, with my words or with my attitude. It should be that they
metaphorically.
agreed. They should be like, oh, I do not want to have this conversation because I know it's just not going to be pleasant. But it should be their anxiety should be at the conversation, not at you.
Right. I mean, because when you have a crucial conversation like that, it's a difficult conversation because it's already difficult enough because of the topic.
Hmm.
It you don't need that added stress, and that's kind of, I think, what we're talking about with the weather. It's There's going to be external things that happen. You might get a shooting. You might have, a baby drown. You might have a fire. There's so many negative things that happen when you work in emergency communications. In fact, it's pretty much everything. But you can uh, understand your role and how your actions and even your temperament, the things that just you don't even have to say. It's just how you hold yourself.
Hmm.
Like if you're all, who's gonna mess with me today? I
Yeah.
mean, you're that's gonna send a much different tone and mood. And those people that are having to deal with all these external threats are not going to feel are going to just have added stress on, and
Yeah.
that's going to pile on and pile on and make the day so much more harder than it already is going to be.
The job is hard enough, no matter which discipline, whether you're taking calls or dispatching, or in some centers, some of our friends do both or two or three different hats all at the same time. And the last thing they need is to worry about whether or not their boss is in a mood.
Even though we are talking about being consistent, don't be consistently in a bad mood. I mean, you want to be in a
Yes,
positive mood. So if you're hearing, okay, if I'm just equally mean all the time, then I'm okay. While that is actually maybe better than the flip flopping
that's
6-7, it's still not as good as being positive.
sure.
Much like we talked about with the CTOs. with the trainers. You're kind of a cheerleader in a
Mhm.
lot of ways.
But you can't be so much of a cheerleader that you're not able to impart the importance of the work that we're doing and the seriousness of it. There should always be some weight on what it is that we're doing. And you're cheerleading, and that can be true for a supervisor, especially when you're dealing with new people, younger in their discipline, call taking, dispatch, or whatever it is. You can do this. I know you can do it because you've already made it through the training. Or, I one of my favorite things is I walk around and I'm looking at the new faces, and you can almost tell they're not all like this with their hands, with their face in their hands. Sometimes it's just the body language and the facial, and they just sit in their certain way. And I'm like, so how's it going? Huh? Huh? Good? And they're like, no. I turn on the cheerleader. I find out, okay, what's wrong? And then I'm hyping them up for everything they're telling me that's awful, they can't do it, blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, but you already did it. But you've done
Mhm.
it. Or we wouldn't be here having this conversation. I wouldn't be sitting here looking at you released from training, cut loose, cleared, whatever you call it. But now, depending on how bad off they are, I may have to come down to their level with them and recognize that they're really in a space. But how am
Mhm.
I able to do that? Because they can see me as someone that they can trust. This is a friendly face. And whatever fight I might have had with my husband or the dog or whatever is not impacting the way that I interact with them. And I know we're kind of, you know, we're talking, not giving like a whole lot of examples per se, but I think it's important at the root of all of this. It's important that your people trust that when you walk up to their desk or when they see you walk through the door, they don't run in fear.
No. And I think that's a really easy kind of test you can do as a supervisor. Just get up from your desk and walk your operations floor and see how people react.
Hmm.
And if they're cringing from you like you're Nosferatu, you may have some self reflection to do.
Some,
Um, yeah, because either, you're not getting down there enough to talk to them, or anytime you go down there, it's for something negative,
hmm
or the way you are presenting yourself, the way you carry
hmm
yourself is very off-putting. And I don't like we often talk about the different generations and how they need different things, but I think this facet of leadership is something that is intergenerational. Like it
agreed.
doesn't matter whether you're from the silent generation
Hmm.
or Gen Z.
hmm
Everybody needs to have that feeling of safety, of purpose, of
hmm
consistency
hmm
in their day.
Yeah, and I would even say supervisor, lead, um, senior dispatcher, whatever your title is, if it represents leadership in any way, and I mean leadership that actually carries some authority, you you have to wear that carefully. You can't just walk around as if you own the building, but you are responsible for how these people see you. You're responsible for how they respond to you. And if you are in that position, right, one that carries some actual authority with it, and they shrink into their chair when they see you coming, you might want to ask yourself why.
Hmm.
Because one of the things that I like to do when I see I walk up and down the aisles at our comm center, whether it be dispatch or call taking, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? How you doing? Or if I stop and I have something specific to say to someone and they turn around and they're like, I didn't do it. I stop then and there and I'm like, okay, what about my approach had you fearful? I want to know. So that, no, seriously, no, I really want to know because I
Mhm.
need to know how not to do that again. Because here's what'll never happen. I will never walk up to you and chastise you on the floor in front of your peers. My goal is never to humiliate you. So please tell me, what about my approach caused you to be fearful so I know how to approach you moving forward?
Mhm.
And once they know that
Yeah,
I will never do that, next time they see me coming, they're like, what's up?
Yeah, and it builds a better rapport with them. Now, when people say to me I didn't do it, when I walk up to them, I'm like, look, it's going to go easier for you if you just admit what you did. Um,
Wow,
and,
Gary.
you know,
Really?
well, sometimes people tell you things. But, you know, uh, good cop, bad cop.
Sure.
But yeah, uh, yeah, of course, never chastise anyone in public. You want to praise in public and correct in private.
Agreed. You know what,
But yeah,
Gary? I'm
like
sorry. Hold on. I have to please say that again for the people in the back. Say that one more time. Now, what'd you say?
that you want to praise in public and correct in private.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure I heard you
Because
right.
yeah, a caveat though. There are times when that may be switched. Those are going to be few and far between.
Sure.
Um, I could think of uh, one employee that I have
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
I would never want to praise them in public because that's just not their personality,
Not at all.
and they might kill me if I do
Or
that. So
cry or walk away
yeah,
because and it's not.
because
I mean, it would be incredibly well deserved. Balloons, parties, confetti, all the things because this is that employee. But absolutely not. Do not do that. I think we tried that one time and it did not go well.
well, that's a whole other story.
Okay.
But and then uh, not necessarily that you'd ever chastise in public, but there was another employee that was taking a 911 call, and they started yelling at the caller, telling them to shut up.
Not
And
shut up.
so
What? Okay, sorry.
yes,
Wow.
and like immediately I had to take him off the floor, and obviously everybody knew that he was in trouble. So
Well,
like,
hey, when you start
yeah,
saying shut up, oh my God,
yeah. So when people are doing something that is like publicly seen, they they need to know that that's not okay. It's kind of like the broken window theory.
yeah.
Like if I were to have just said, "I'll get to that employee later," um, then people are gonna be like, "Oh, he could just tell a call taker to, or he could just tell a caller to shut up. That's okay here, I guess." But so those kind of things you need to have immediate action on. But 99% of the time, praise in public, correct in private, because the correction shouldn't feel like they're being ridiculed.
Mhm.
If you think about like when you were in school, like doing math, a lot of people have trouble with math, and if you make a mistake on math, that's why pencils have erasers.
Agreed.
It's not something to be ridiculed over.
Yeah, agreed. And while I know it sounds like it may seem like we're jumping around a little bit, but the way that you conduct yourself and the way that you carry yourself and the way that you control the weather in your center by your actions or inactions, your facial expression, your body language, the way you walk, the way you talk, all the things, this is real and it impacts everything. It impacts when you go to have a corrective conversation or a critical conversation, or when you even go to praise someone. They may not, matter of fact, if you're always a negative Nelly when you walk through the door, even if you go to tell somebody they're doing a good job on something, first of all, they're going to duck because you're always a negative Nancy. Sorry,
Hmm.
Nancy. If you're a Nancy, I'm sorry. It just came out. But, if that is how you conduct yourself on a regular basis, when you switch it up, they don't know how to take you.
Yeah, and it's also like I think an interesting experience to because I think everybody has people in their mind that they use as examples of either positive supervision or negative
Hmm.
supervision, and you think about what what makes each one of them positive or negative. And so when you think of like, oh, I really feel like when this supervisor is here, things are gonna, no matter what's happening, things are gonna get chill and like
Hmm.
get controlled and orderly,
Hmm.
and it's gonna be okay. And it's an interesting experience to kind of have that where you like there's a chaotic situation happening and you get there and then you suddenly see your team, I don't want to say
They
relax, but
exhale.
they exhale. They feel confident that
Mhm.
they're going to be able to get through it. And it's, I think, one of the best feelings you can have as a supervisor when that happens, because
Mhm,
that's the moment you know that you've built trust with your team, and they know that you believe that
mhm,
they can do it, because
mhm,
you're not going to run down there and grab the dispatcher's headset and start dispatching the call.
mhm.
You're going to say, I trust that you're going to be able to get through this situation. Let me know what you need.
Yeah,
And I that is such a powerful tool at making an employee feel valued. And
yes.
if you can do that to an employee, they will stay through um, no pay raises. They'll stay through mandatories. They'll stay through all kinds of crap,
Yeah.
because the people that come into this profession, by and large, don't do it for the paycheck.
No, they don't. And unless they work, I don't even know where to name a place where they work where the cost of living doesn't gobble up however much it is that they make. But you are
Hmm.
100% right. There is no better feeling than when all hell has broken loose, literally. And the worst of the worst, whatever your worst event is either happening or it has happened, and you're all shell shocked from it, right? And the employee says something like, "We made it, and I'm so glad you were here for it." You
Hmm.
you can't buy that. You can't buy
Yeah.
that, and that doesn't happen by accident, right? I've got management like that. I've got leadership. I've had leadership like that. That whether it from McDonald's very first job all the way through all the ones that I've had up to now, I've had leaders that way. When they walk in, and I mean the fecal matter is hitting the whirly blades, as Gary likes to say. We may be all getting hit with it, but guess what? We're getting hit with it together, and they're not shaking their finger in my face or by their very presence bringing more anxiety to an already stressful situation. They walk in and I go, "This is such crap." And I do mean literally. But it's gonna be okay because so and so's here. Now there are some that when they walk in, it's already a crappy situation. It just got worse. Like that post that I saw on LinkedIn, where they walk in, the room just tightens. It just starts to shrink in on itself because they literally suck the life, the confidence, and just the air out of the room. But then you have other
Hmm.
supervisors or leaders that walk in and everybody goes, "This is really crappy, but hey, so and so's here." And right? They know
Hmm.
that no, we're not about to all have a party, but it's going to be okay. The room can actually relax.
Hmm. And again, that's not really talking about. It's not really saying you can't have like discipline and order,
Sure.
and like strict standards. Um, you can still have all that. It's just the way you deliver those expectations, and the way you you hold yourself and those around you accountable for that, will let people exhale, even if they're, held to very high standards,
Hmm.
which hopefully most everybody in the profession is.
Yeah.
Um, but you can still kind of relax, because everybody doing the job has been trained to do it, so they know how to do it.
Yeah.
And they they need to feel that you believe in them if you're going to supervise them, because otherwise they'll they'll just it'll it'll eat them up, because they're going to hear a lot of bad things, and if they're questioning their ability to take these calls and process them, then they're going to think that they could have saved more people when maybe they couldn't have.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing.
And the last thing they need. Now seriously, all jokes aside, the
Hmm.
last thing that these people that do this life-saving important work should have to deal with is your shifting attitude.
Hmm.
Not knowing what your mood is going to be when you walk through the door. And if that's you, I would strongly encourage you, if you've ever heard that about your leadership style or the lack thereof, um, I would strongly encourage you to practice some self-reflection and figure out how to fix that. Uh, because we've all had that boss at some point in our careers, and maybe you don't know that you're that boss. And leave it to me to keep it completely real because we said we were going to. If that's you, you're a dangerous person in this environment because there's no more dangerous leader than one who is unaware of their impact.
Yeah.
You are dangerous.
And and that doesn't mean you can't make a course correction. I think
Of
everybody can
course.
always correct everything, but like take a moment if you feel like even if you don't feel like you're that way, notice how the weather changes in the room when you walk in.
Nice.
And if it
Nice.
if it if it's changing for the worse when you walk in as a shift supervisor, then you need to understand that's because of you.
Yes. Yeah.
And it can be fixed. In fact, I would be willing to bet you $1 that everybody on your team really wants you to try and fix that. And they would be rooting for you and wanting to support you in doing that. Um, and you can, but it has to start with realizing there is an issue. I mean, even me, like whenever I walk into the operations floor, I always check. Okay, who's looking really nervous now?
Hmm.
Okay, I hate that person, so that's fine. But anybody else? No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Um, just to check to make sure that is everybody feeling confident and comfortable in their job? Because there's going to be things that have to happen today, maybe that aren't good.
Hmm.
So, what are the barriers to success on that we can eliminate?
Yeah. Agreed. Well said.
Thank you, thank you. And if you all have any examples of either yourself or maybe someone you know, um, and please do keep it anonymous, uh, of people that have done a good job at being a leader or perhaps could do better. We always love to hear it because it's in kind of analyzing these things that we can get better at it.
Hmm.
And even if you're the best leader in the world, you still want to keep working to become even better.
Yeah.
Like, um, I recently had the opportunity to uh, train a new leader at our location, and I really try and kind of see what they're seeing as a new leader,
Hmm.
someone coming up and seeing what can I learn from them to try and adjust what I'm doing because I, I've been doing supervisoring a long time,
Supervisoring.
and
I love that.
and if I'm doing something that's not good, I don't want to do it anymore.
Right.
And um, it's always good to be very open to learning.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I'm usually always right, so I don't
I
have to change
mean,
anything,
I
but
mean,
on
I
occasion.
understand the pressure of that, Gary, because being a person that is right like 99.9999999% of the time, I get it. I understand. So I would be shocked, amazed, and surprised at this point, however many zeros go in front of that 1% when the person told me that I needed to correct something. But I'm open.
Mhm. And I mean, thankfully, as you pointed out earlier, I work with a lot of lovely ladies that will definitely tell me if I do something wrong. So I'm very thankful for that.
But all have conniption fits. Yes, I said it for those who don't know what that is, a conniption fit. Think Tasmanian devil if the shoe was ever on the other foot. Poor Gary. I'm so sorry. Matter of fact, we have a Teams chat that's Gary and what is it? The supervisor chat, aka Gary and the ladies. That's what we call it because he's just the only one, and we can't hire a man to help him to save our lives. It's just not. It's just never gonna happen.
But yes, if your sender has any fun stories like that, we'd love to hear about it. You can, of course, email us at lifeline911podcast@gmail.com or leave a comment down below. We very much appreciate you all for watching and listening and hope that maybe something we said was useful and helpful to you. From all of us at Lifeline 911, I'm Gary,
I'm Erica.
and we will see you next week.
Thank you for watching. If you have any questions about today's topic or topics you'd like to cover in the future, please reach out to us at lifeline911podcast@gmail.com. This has been a production of Lifeline 911, copyright 2026. Until next time, this is Lifeline 911 signing off.